Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're doing a real deep dive into the source material behind a concept I guarantee you've heard of before, the law of attraction. I mean, we're talking about a literal million-dollar industry here. Honestly, it's more like a massive empire entirely dedicated to selling dreams. From mega hits like The Secret and Think and Grow Rich to countless celebrity endorsements, teaching this stuff is a full-time, highly lucrative career for so many people. But what's actually going on here under the surface?
Well, that's the ultimate question, isn't it? Is the law of attraction a genuine, untapped superpower, or is it just a massive, modern-day scam? The source material gives us these two wild extremes. On one side, you've got this almost cult-like following swearing it's absolute magic. And on the flip side, skeptics who just see a ruthless business built on fooling folks and cashing in on their hopes. So today, we're going to cut through all that noise, look at the cold, hard facts, and break down exactly what this phenomenon is, and maybe more importantly, what it absolutely isn't.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're breaking this explainer down into three simple parts. First, the myth, then the science, and finally, the reality.
All right, part one, the myth.
So let's look at how this whole idea actually built up over time, because treating the universe like some giant cosmic wishing well, that didn't just pop up out of thin air. We can actually trace it way back to ancient Eastern philosophies, like Buddhism and Hinduism, around 500 BCE, which taught that the mind is this incredibly powerful tool that shapes our reality. Even Lao Tzu in Taoism was saying that thoughts become words, words become actions, and ultimately, your destiny. Pretty deep, right? But then you hit the 19th century and this concept completely mutates. Enter the New Thought movement, with guys like Ralph Waldo Emerson hyping up the mind's infinite potential. By 1906, a guy named William Walker Atkinson officially coins the term law of attraction. Fast forward exactly a century to 2006, Rhonda Byrne drops her book, The Secret. And boom, it spreads like wildfire, exploding into this huge global commercial empire fueled by daytime talk shows.
But this is where we really need to tap the brakes. We have to look at the dark side of what happens when a concept gets so overpopularized and totally misunderstood. The source material brings up the incredibly tragic story of Kim Tinkham. Back in the mid-2000s, Kim wrote into a massive daytime talk show. She had been so heavily influenced by The Secret and all this mainstream buzz that she actually stopped her medical treatments for breast cancer. She literally believed with 100% certainty that she could just manifest a cure. She claimed she'd be totally cancer-free by 2008 just by trusting the universe. Tragically, Kim passed away from the disease in 2010. It's a sobering, heartbreaking reminder of the fatal cost of blind belief over actual proven medical science. Look, just because a celebrity promotes a magical idea doesn't mean we should follow it blindly without understanding the mechanics of how things actually work.
And that brings us sharply to section 2, the science. Let's get into the hard facts. I want you to just think about the number 4 for a second. Back in 1954, conventional wisdom and literal top scientists insisted it was physically impossible for a human being to run a mile in under 4 minutes. They literally said pushing the human body that hard would cause it to break down and suffer severe injuries. No way, right? Well, on May 6th, Roger Bannister ran a mile in 3 minutes and 59 seconds, absolutely shocking the world. And the crazy part? Just 6 weeks later, another athlete broke it again. Since then, over 1,600 people, even high school kids, have shattered that impossible 4-minute barrier. So how did he do it? Well, Bannister, who actually went on to become a neuroscientist, explained that he trained his mind even more than his physical body. He relentlessly visualized running that exact race thousands of times in his head before his feet ever touched the track. By the time he ran, he had already won the race in his mind.
Now, what's really interesting about this concept is the actual science behind it. The scientific term for what Bannister was doing is neuroplasticity. This right here is the hard science that totally replaces all that woo-woo magic. When you deeply believe in something and just continuously visualize it, your brain literally reorganizes itself. It physically forms strong, new neural pathways. So it seems totally impossible to the outside world, actually becomes practically possible inside your brain. Your mind and body sync up to give absolute maximum effort, which makes hitting that goal highly probable. Seriously, this is the exact same science behind how Edmund Hillary finally climbed Everest, or how elite athletes and billionaire entrepreneurs reach the absolute top of their game.
And hey, if you're still a little skeptical, check out the data from this famous University of Chicago study by Dr. Judd Biasiotto. He split people into 3 groups to test their basketball free throw skills. Group 1, they physically practiced on the court for an hour every day and saw a solid 24% improvement. Group 3 did 0 practice and, shocker, had exactly 0% improvement. But Group 2, this is wild. They never even touched a basketball. They just sat there and mentally visualized themselves making successful free throws. And their improvement? 23%, almost the exact same athletic boost as the people out there physically sweating on the court. Let that sink in.
This brings us to a massive, game-changing revelation from the source text. Your brain actually cannot tell the difference between deep imagination and physical reality. There was this other experiment where they had people just imagine doing a simple 5-finger piano exercise. When scientists scanned their brains, the scans lit up with the exact same brain activity as if they were physically banging on the piano keys. So deep visualization actually primes your brain and your physical body to perform at their absolute peak. Turns out, the law of attraction isn't about sending magical vibrations out into the universe. It's literally just your brain's neuroplasticity doing the heavy lifting.
Which leads us perfectly into our final section, Part 3, the reality. Let's look at the actionable framework. The source material actually gives us a really clear, practically foolproof blueprint for success, and it boils down to 3 steps. Step 1, instill belief. Step 2, feed your brain. And step 3, take supportive action. We're going to walk through exactly how you can ground this concept into your actual, real-world daily habits. So, the crucial point with step 1, instill belief, is that your belief has to be grounded in reality for your brain to actually accept the challenge. The sources make it super clear you cannot manifest superpowers and you're not going to manifest a trip to Mars by tomorrow morning. But a massive career milestone, hitting a major financial target like buying a sports car, that is practically possible. The whole key here is to set a bold, real, but achievable goal and genuinely believe you have the capacity to reach it. Once that goal is locked in, step 2 is all about feeding your brain. And the sources are huge on this. Look at some of these incredible high-stakes celebrity anecdotes. Bruce Lee actually wrote a letter to himself promising he'd become the highest-paid Oriental superstar in the US, and he carried that piece of paper everywhere he went. The actor Ranveer Singh, he literally pasted a picture of his own face over Shah Rukh Khan's on a famous movie poster in his bedroom so he'd be forced to look at it every single day. And Jim Carrey famously wrote himself a $10 million check for acting services rendered and kept it right in his pocket. By constantly feeding your brain these clear, repetitive visuals, you're literally forcing it to build those new neural pathways. Read the books, listen to the podcasts, immerse yourself in the topic. Your brain gets crystal clear on what it's looking for and starts generating brilliant ideas you literally never would have had otherwise.
And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate secret from the source material, the law of attraction versus the law of action. On one side, you have the total myth, right? Wishing, hoping, staring blankly at a vision board, and just waiting for the universe to drop $1 million in your lap. But on the other side, you have the reality, using focused, intense visualization to wire your brain, which then actively drives the necessary daily actions. Because at the end of the day, attraction is entirely meaningless without the concrete action required to actually get the results. I really want to let this quote sink in for a second. Attraction brings you the capacity for results, but action brings the actual results. Think about it like this. You can visualize a super fit, six-pack physique all day long. You can say your daily affirmations in the mirror until you're blue in the face. But if you don't actually go to the gym and lift the heavy weights, absolutely nothing changes. The law of attraction and the law of action are permanently, inextricably linked. The attraction gets your brain pointed in the exact right direction, for sure, but the action is what physically crosses the finish line. Which leaves us with this final, really important question to chew on. Are you just sitting around waiting for the universe to magically hand you your dreams? Or are you actively rewiring your brain to take action? Look, the science of neuroplasticity is very real, and the best part is, it's entirely within your control. You don't need some mystical magic to change your life. You just need to align your mind with your actions. So use your brain's incredible power to build up your capacity, and then get out there and actually do the work. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope it empowers you to start rewiring your own reality today. Catch you next time.